following four statements. Who is wise? He who learns from every person. Who is strong? He who subdues his personal inclination. Who is rich? He who is happy with his lot. Who is honored? He who honors others. According to these definitions, my mother, Aleha Shalom, was a very wise, strong, rich, and honored woman. My mother was a very strong, healthy woman who lived to the age of 92. She was a strong presence in our family. She was a pillar of strength for my father throughout their marriage, and especially during the last 20 years of his life when he suffered from Parkinson's. But perhaps her greatest strength was the one she demonstrated following the mandate of Ben Zoma, when she conquered her inclination. My mother knew when to speak, and she knew when not to speak. She never preached to her grandchildren, and she tried not to lecture to her children, but definitely not her children's spouses. She loved her in-law children as her own, but she recognized that there was a line that she shouldn't cross. She was truly a gibor, a woman of strength. My mother was smart, not only book smart, although she was an avid reader, and not only because she was learned, but because she listened to people. She was a good conversationalist, not only because of what she said, but equally so because she wanted to hear and learn from what other people said. When sitting at my Shabbos table with my friends, she would tell us stories and include herself in everything we talked about. She didn't sit like a bump on a log, but quite the contrary, joined in. She also knew when not to include herself in the conversation and would sometimes just sit and listen to what was going on around her. She was truly a wise woman. My mother was a wealthy woman, not in the financial sense. In fact, she never really had a great deal of money. She didn't come from wealth. She always worked hard and long, even working with her parents in their business to help them. And it was a struggle. She would sometimes work daytime and nighttime hours to help supplement their income. But she did what she needed to do. And through it all, she managed, Baruch Hashem, to raise 4 children who are all Shomer Mitzvot, who in turn have their own children and grandchildren who are all Shomer Mitzvot. Was she a wealthy woman? You bet she was. Finally, my mother was honored, not because she demanded other people to treat her in a certain way. To the contrary, my mother was a woman who made little demands of others. She was honored because of the respect and attention she gave to her parents. She was a wonderful daughter. She taught us the mitzvah of Kaveh v'Savicha v'Esimbecha by example. She was honored because of the way she treated my grandparents and the way she treated my father. She dedicated many years to working with my grandparents in a small hotel, doing cooking and cleaning all on her own to help them out. For many years, she was the sole caregiver for my father, taking care of him during his illness. She accepted her responsibilities to my grandparents and to my father with love and provided them with their needs. She loved and respected each of her children and their spouses, grandchildren and great-grandchildren. She treated them with honor, and in turn, she received honor from them. So my mother may have satisfied some of the traditional definitions of the words wise, strong, rich, and honored, and she surely fulfilled the conditions as defined by the Mishnah. A friend of mine related this verse in Koheles to me, that the day of death is better than the day of one's birth. How is this to be understood? Rav Levi explains by the following parable of 2 ships, which were laden with merchandise, sailing the ocean, one coming in and one going out. And people praised the one coming in. Some people stood there and wondered, why are you praising this one and not the other? They replied to them, we are praising the ship that came in because we know that she went out in peace and has returned in peace. As for the one going out, we do not know what her fate will be. My mother, Olav Shalom, went out in peace and has returned in peace. And although we will miss her greatly, she lived a long, full, dedicated life to the service of Hashem and His creations. She left the world a better place than she found it by virtue of her accomplishments. May she find eternal reward guarded by them. I wanted this time to give a cardinal toe to my sisters-in-law, who treated my mother with love, with the utmost love and devotion. I love you, Mommy, for all you've taught me, and for all you've done for me. I ask you for forgiveness for anything I might have done or said to hurt you. I will miss you, but know you are in a better place with Daddy and at peace.
Apologize so much in advance. A number of the things that I'll be saying have reverberated through most of the hesped in here, and I think kind of underscores that what is said here is real earnest, and I'm sure you hear it a number of times. No flaw there is a shame. Certainly the crown of our family has fallen. While we so grateful to Hakadosh Baruch Hu for almost 93 years, they allowed us to be part of the world and to experience our mother, and that we're grateful for Hakadosh Baruch Hu avoiding having my mother avoid the indignities that are associated with long-term illnesses. The thought of her not being part of our smachot and Yom Tovim is at the moment very difficult to fathom. The void that would seem to be impossible to fill. My mother, Florence Lipstein, Begal Faliba, Basi Tokdel Halevi, in fact, well, her essence was family. Whether it was the Pesach Seders and how she loved them, prepared for them. 12 years, my immediate family had this close to have her at our table, and how she was involved in Divrei Torah, and it was just a special time, or whether it was the latkes on Hanukkah, or Yom Tov meals and Shabbos meals, which were just incredible food fests. She always made it special for the family to get together, and they were really memorable. They're certainly memorable for my family, for my children, and so they indelibly etched in their minds, in our minds. Certainly it's because that my mother lived there, the terrorist on Shabbos. In many ways, she was deserving of that because, as my brother mentioned, she always made Shabbos very special, even when she worked long and hard. I remember vividly, as a young child coming home and waking in the morning and just jumping into it, even never complaining about having worked so long during the week. And it was always done with simcha, and it was always something special. And certainly, she also, my brother mentioned, usually tried somewhat to say she was Eshes Chayil, but she was really quintessential Eshes Chayil, and in many ways, Shokatira on Shabbos was very fitting. Many of you had the chus to know my mother, and a pleasure to know her. For those of you not, we try to, in a few minutes, give you a glimpse of this very special person. My brother asked me if I wanted to speak last night, and intuitively I said yes. When I sat down to do it, had some reservation about doing so, but because I wasn't sure whether I really could convey my mother and really who she stood, what she stood for. It wasn't anything, many times very obvious, but she was a very simple person. But when I when I sat down with my dear son Gideon, and we were talking about his Savta, many of the things that I had planned to say came out in our discussion, so I felt more at ease in terms of saying that I would be able to convey his essence. My mom was in some ways a tzaddikus, really, truly, a person with tremendous midos. Straightforward, no hidden agendas, both of the both. And her simplicity was really her grace and beauty. I don't think my mother ever lied in her life. I don't ever recall it. She's truly, a person with MS, she was chesed MS. Siblings said before. She had no hidden agendas. She was just yashar. I don't think she was, able not to be yashar. She was just, that's the way she lived her life, and she was embodiment of selfless person. She was the most selfless person I knew. She never put herself first. She never demanded anything for her. And she, as my siblings mentioned, cared for my grandparents, and for my dad beyond what humanly possible and beyond the whole duty. She was never mocked it on a kavod, and was seeing build room here, he's been building a chama, she's deserving of the kavod akro and kavod that she really never received during her lifetime, never demanded. Said she literally never mocked her kavod to the extent of things that she let go during her lifetime in terms of shalom bias and self-restraint that she exhibited. I'm just in awe of it as I think about it. She was a very difficult person to be kind, keep it. Hey, she just didn't allow people to do things for her. But in addition to her midos, she was a real mom, and she always said they did the hesped, always accepted whatever was dealt her way. She was always cognizant that Kodesh Baruch Hu was in charge. We always had discussions about it, and really, I was amazed at her emunah. Besides her midos, my mom was a very intelligent person, an avid reader. As was mentioned, the legal secretary most of her working years. Although she didn't attend college, she probably had a better vocabulary than most people in this room. Mom loved music, opera, chazanos, all types of Jewish music, Shabbos and Neros. She loved to harmonize with me, make me sound a little better on Shabbos. She loved hearing Jewish music in my car and CDs. She had a beautiful voice and sang professionally in my young years, as my sister said. She also loved to laugh. She loved a good joke. She even loved not such good jokes. She would always laugh at my jokes, and I really miss that. Not too many people have that love. But in the end, her legacy is really her children. 11 grandchildren, 10 great-grandchildren. All Shomrei Torah mitzvos. Jan and I experienced this firsthand recently, supposed to have his grandchildren, and how she was open to spend a lot of time with our first grandchild, Yitzchak, and how she enjoyed that. She's so glad to hear about the second grandchild, Hila. So proud of it. And she was waiting in anticipation of third grandchild, eytan Lauren's baby. Kal Shoshana, it was named literally as a friend show was going out. She and I would laugh many times as a visitor out in the car. We laughed about eytan becoming a father. So even though she didn't have the chus to see her, she certainly was waiting in anticipation for her. My mother worked very hard during her lifetime, and particularly did so to have the funds available for the Sul Yeshiva. This was a woman that went to Talmud Torah. She felt that Jewish education was necessary, and she paid every dollar of her tuition, never asking for a break, never giving a break. And when we came home with the chumrah of the week, she accepted it. She said, if it's, she supported us. The children wanted it. She wanted it too. It was for Torah. She did it for Simcha. We owe everything we have in Yiddishkeit to her, and a willingness to sacrifice for us. Kol Sheli Shalach. Just want to answer a few words at first to Tov. My personal first to Tov. For those over the past weeks who took special steps to be of help to the family and to me personally. Mentioned before, but I wanted to do it myself. And Miffy Gorman, who's so helpful to our family and gave so freely of her time. I'd also like to thank publicly my dear friend Neil Stein, who for longer than I can remember had been my mom's physician, kept her in Shliach Hashem to keep her out of harm's way, and also respected the fact that she really didn't want to see him too often. She didn't like any doctors, so I gotta tell you, so the respect to those in me wasn't. And but Neil, thank you for your time and concern you have for her. And also, as my brother mentioned, the old people, many years in the White Shul, who made my mom feel so special, who treated her kindly, and to her office associates, in particular Frida, who provided her with friendship, love, and respect. Mom, you were the best mom I could have wanted. I'm so indebted to you for all you provided for me and my family, both physically and emotionally. I ask you for the tefillah, for the times I could have and should have, give me more kavod and make your life easier. Pray that you may share us with our family. I love you and will miss you. Hey, Masah, Surah, Chaim.
Well, logically, I always knew that this day would come. It was hard to imagine that our Savta, a fiercely independent woman and one of the strongest people I have ever known, would ever be gone. These last few weeks were very strange for all of us, as we absolutely knew that she never would have wanted her 4 children, 11 grandchildren, and 10 great-grandchildren to see her weak and unable to take care of herself. There is no doubt that she would want us to remember her as the vibrant matriarch who never needed assistance. How fortunate that she had her health and her strength for so long, and she never, ever wanted to be a burden to anyone. Her quiet and stoic presence exuded dignity and grace. When she walked into a room, all of us would jump to greet her. To watch my children honor her gave me a great sense of warmth. I never needed to encourage them to greet Savta. They naturally wanted to kiss her and hug her because she was so easy to love. She never argued, she never complained, and she was sharp as a whip and a pleasure to be around. I can just picture her when she used to come for Shabbos or Sukkot to our house, reading a book for hours and drinking coffee. That is a memory that I will always treasure. She insisted that we never fuss over her. She constantly gained our love and affection with her incredible devotion to her family. Her innate poise and composure provided an example for all of us to strive to emulate. When she would be with us for Sukkot or other holidays, she was so easy to be around. Always well-dressed, her hair always done, her kitten heels, her necklace and earrings to match. As recently as 5 weeks ago, she was with us all for Thanksgiving and was laughing in a part of the conversation. She even wanted to clear her own plate. When my cousins and I were together and being loud and the conversation was quick and moving, she never missed a beat. She just loved being at that table with all of us, and we will cherish those memories forever. She was blessed with the good health to walk down the aisle at my wedding, Yitz's wedding, Shoshi's wedding in Israel, Ayelet's, Eytan's, and even Ellie's last year in Israel. And as for her great-grandchildren, she could never hear enough about them. She would hang on every word when we would give her updates on their lives. Leave it to you, Savta, to pass away in the same way that you lived. Without too much burden, you gave us time to come together as a family to help us absorb the shock of life without you. When I brought my children to visit you, I thought it would be extremely difficult for them. But once again, even in your last days, you made it your business to clearly perk up and make us all feel special in that unique matriarchal way. On behalf of Yitz, Lisa, Shoshi, Meni, Dasi, Numi, Niti, Ayelet and Ari, Eytan and Lauren, Gideon, Ellie and Sari, Gali, Jordan, Andrew, Sydney, Jared, Justin, Julia, Talia, Yitzhak, Tehila, and Michal. We will forever remember your strength and your valor, and we hope to honor your legacy proudly. We love you, and we will miss you forever.
Now I'd like to call upon Eytan Lipstein.
I've been at all of my grandparents' funerals, but this one has to be the toughest one. They're all great people and tremendous Yodei Hashem. Savta stands out amongst them. She lived in Woodmere and more recently Cedars my entire life, and as such she was much more accessible to the wonderful grandparents in Seattle and her husband, Sapa. And when he was Nifter in 5th grade, so I grew much closer with Savta than everyone else. She was everything a Savta should be. So warm, so loving. She made the best food on the planet, feeding my chubby belly until I was content. There was nothing more she would rather do than make us happy. She never did anything for herself. She always did things that would help others and make others happy. Growing up, my family would go to Savta's house all the time and spend time with her. Our special highlight was Pesach, when all of her children and the families would come to Woodmere to stay by her house, that we can spend Pesach together. She would prepare lavish meals. You've never seen so much food in your life. And it was awesome, full of fat and full of 2 ingredients, no Jewish food was left without. When Saba passed away, the storm stopped, and eventually Saba moved out of the house, ending our run of storm and Thanksgivings. However, my bond with Saba only grew stronger. Saba began coming to our house every other Shabbos. We began spending even more time with her and developed a special bond. I could always count on Saba to laugh at my jokes, or sing along in Zemiros with her melodious voice. She would arrive with a brand new, never read 500-page book, and leave on Motzi Shabbos with it read cover to cover. Believe it is Saba did not want to appear like a freeloader and act like she actually owed my parents anything after raising my father and doing so much for my father and mother. She insisted on doing all the dishes after every meal, week in and week out, all the way up until her last Shabbos at her home. This 92-year-old puppy would stand on her 2 feet and vigorously wash everything in the sink, never once taking a break, never complaining about it. And it taught me a tremendous klal in life, one that seems so obvious yet is so uncommon. It's the klal of saying thank you and meaning it, showing appreciation for acts of chesed that are done for you. Safta didn't owe us anything. If she wanted to show her a car, it's been authenticated through an act of kindness. It also taught me the value of consistency. In life, we sometimes do things very robotically. And at times, when things become robotic or stale, we tend to spend less effort or even stop doing these things, these daily things completely. But Safta was a picture of consistency. She always came through, was always on time, always true to her beliefs, walking the walk and not just talking the talk. I ate countless meals with her, and she benched every time, each time looking inside the bencher, reading the words slowly and intently. She always made sure to bench before leaving the table, never letting her eat her to entice her not to, unlike many of us. I'll always cherish the times where I would pick her up and go out for a bagel or a burger with gideon and yell to talk to her about anything. Growing up without cable, we gave our fair share of complaints to my parents, but once Safta moved to Cedars, we found out she had cable and instantly began going over to watch Yankee games there with her. We would barge in with her watching something, and she would instantly switch the channel to our liking, offering us food and drink, just watch us watch TV. Nothing made her happier than making us happy, and always made me feel so good and so special that we were #1 in her book. Safta, we're going to miss you. The Shabbos at Woodmere simply won't be the same. You were a staple of our home, and it will be tough to get used to. All the things Lauren and I met, I introduced you to her. New daughter Michal Shoshana. I can only hope to pass down so many of your great qualities to her. I raised her to be a proud Jew, a Pat Torah, and a person of your stature, a loving, caring, respectful, warm, God-fearing, people-loving, and accomplished individual. I love you.
Sister Ronnie, my parents, right here. Apologize if this doesn't come out coherent. Try to gather my thoughts. Still trying to gather my thoughts. As everybody mentioned, all these amazing qualities of my Safta. One thing that I felt was unique that I was speaking about with my father last night. It just shows a real person when everyone's just speaking about that person. It's the same qualities. Everyone's consistent in the way they depict them, the way they portray it. All consistent. You're hearing the same thing, something which is really the definition of a true person. The way, in one word, also the way I would describe it would be selfless. She was the most selfless person. My father said. Nothing gave her more hana in this world than preparing food for us, than just making us happy, making her children happy, making her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren. That was what this world was about. There, she just loved doing all these things, especially Pesach, when we'd all come in and eat who knows how much food. She would just keep making food. I don't even know if she sat down at the meals. Maybe she'd get a chance to sit down and eat something, but she didn't care because that was all she wanted to do. She just wanted to make us happy, and she wanted to feed. That was gave her the most honor in the world. also, it was just the most incredible thing to see a woman, 92 years old, just cleaning the dishes. Sometimes she would even chip a dish, because she was weak. She was a small woman, but she was the sweetest woman ever. And but she just every week would just clean the dishes because she couldn't bear taking something without returning. She didn't like to take. She was a giving person. She wasn't one who liked to take. It was very hard for her to do. When the year came when she couldn't make Pesach Seder anymore, it was just so difficult for her because she loved doing it for everybody. Now it took away something from her, and now it was just something that she loved to do. Anivos was something that just breathed within her. She was Mavri on Midosa. She didn't care. When somebody wronged her, she wouldn't respond. She was so Yoshua, just such. It's incredible to watch how she would never speak up against anything. If you asked her her opinion, she'd probably tell you it. But she wasn't one to she never protruded her mouth. She came into she was never annoying or anything. She was never that I guess that prototype of sometimes we envision the grandmother being a little nagging, whatever. She wasn't like that at all. It was just incredible how she just loved all of us. And she wouldn't put herself in everyone's business. One story that I just wanted to say before I close up, I thought really defines who she was, and it was a recent story that really shows who she was right before Rosh Hashanah. So many of you may know, my brother-in-law Ari loves music, as Sapta does also. So Ari saw a piano lying outside somebody's house, and he wanted to take it. They said, "Oh, we'll put it in Sapta's house," and Sapta's like, "I'll take it. I'll play the piano. I don't know. It sounds good to me." And they had Erev, I think it was Erev Rosh Hashanah. Me, my brother eytan, my brother Ari, all we Jewish boys trying to carry this massive piano into their house. And as we're coming up her steps, all of us holding just we got into the car somehow, and then when we were taking out the car and pulling up her steps, we knocked on the door, we opened the door, and we're carrying the piano. And as I said, my grandmother wasn't one to ever complain, I never seen her complain in my life, but this time we entered the door and she said, "Put this down right now." and we said, and we're like, "Safta, we're almost there. We just put it by the wall, She's like, "No." She's like, "Do not drop the piano. I don't care. We'll leave it right here." It was in the doorway. She didn't care. She's like, "We're keeping it right here." And I remember she couldn't bear to watch us in pain. She couldn't watch it. She was really, and it just was so. It took so much out of her. She couldn't watch that, and it was so hard for her to see. So just that in the times when she spoke, that's you listened because it wasn't much. She didn't ask for much. And I'm probably missing a lot of things that I should be saying because there's so much to talk about. But in the day I was zocha to be with her for so many Shabbosim, almost every other Shabbos, just listen to her sing.